Everybody, what's going on? I hope you guys are having a wonderful night. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and today we're going to talk about something that I saw today, and that involved a man who said he adored his wife. He explained how much he adored his wife, how he goes above and beyond for her. And this made me ask a fundamental question. Why do some women date losers? When there are good Black men everywhere, why do some women date losers? Well, I'm going to explain to you what some of the science says. So get comfortable, buckle up your seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And before we begin, if you guys could do a quick, help me do a quick audio check. I am actually out of town right now, so I'd like to know if you guys can hear me okay. Give me a yes if you can hear me. Just give me a quick yes in the chat. And I see James Keller from Philadelphia, Prophet F. Anthony Green, B1 to you too. Edward Ivy from Milwaukee, good to see you. I was in Milwaukee for Hip Hop Week. It was really great. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Give me a quick yes. It's my audio coming through good. My name is Corey. What's going on? JB Jones, Jermaine Trusty. Thank you, Edward and Luffin King and Pat W. I appreciate you all so much. Okay, so let me play something for y'all. I think this is really interesting, and I wanted to share this video because it really inspired me and really showed me the potential of the Black community. It's really a cool little short little clip, and and I'm going to play it for you and then kind of give an assessment on it because I think that this really speaks on an issue that I wrote about in my book, Financial Lovemaking. I wrote a book years ago called Financial Lovemaking about how love and money mix together. And I thought that this would be, and it's on Amazon and Audible and all that if you want to go take a look at it. But this is the kind of thing I thought about because a lot of, as an economist, I see everything as a market in terms of markets. And with markets, you have supply and demand, you have risk, you have all kinds of variables that come into play that I don't know if everyone is trained on, but I can explain some of that to you. So let me play this clip, and then I'm going to tell you why this clip really got me excited. Here it goes. Give me a yes in the chat as I play it to let me know you guys can hear it. And also, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, you'll just hear it, but I will tell you what's in the clip. Here we go. Sorry, wrong button.
I just freaking adore my wife.
Yeah.
I genuinely adore my wife. And I want to be the best husband, the best father. I want to take care of her. I want to serve her. I want my wife to brag on the type of man that I am for her. And I take pride in that.
Yeah.
I take pride in being the best husband that I can be for my wife. And sometimes, even when I do things that I don't feel like doing that I do for you, I do it anyway because I want to be the best husband possible for my wife.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
And I know that me overcoming myself and doing things that I don't want to do still takes me to that next level.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I show up for her.
Yeah.
When she needs certain things, when she asks me for certain things or asks me to do certain things, I show up. I take pride in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so did y'all see that clip? Let me know if you saw it and you heard it, and let me know if you were impressed by it. I was very impressed by what the brother said. I thought it was really great. You could tell that the woman in the clip, I got to find out what podcast this is. And if you know the name of the creator, let me know and I'll shout their name out because I want to make sure I give credit to who made this clip because I thought it was beautiful. And I actually am sharing it on my Instagram. My Instagram is Dr. Boyce Finance. So why is this clip important? You have this clip of a Black man who he's not doing what you see in mainstream media, as James Keller eloquently mentions. This is not what you hear, right? Give me a yes or no if you know what I'm talking about. This is not what you hear when they show rappers. With rappers, it is big pimping. We don't love them hoes, stuff like that, disrespect, extreme disrespect for women. But this man is actually honoring the Black woman. And I think that's really, really cool that he's honoring the Black woman and not disparaging the Black woman. Right. So a lot of people aren't going to get this. Right. This is not mainstream stuff. This is not something that is going to be popular. Right. Kevin Samuels made a whole career attacking and beating up on Black women. People like that. Right. And I agree with my brother Umar Johnson, who said that is a signal of your dysfunction. That is a signal of your mental illness, that you got off watching this man. And God bless him. RIP to him. He wasn't a stupid man, but he made his whole career talking about how women need to do this and need to do that, and this is what's wrong with them and everything else. And here this man's doing something that a lot of guys would call simping. They now call it simping, where you love your woman, you brag about loving your woman, you serve your woman, you want to be a good man for your woman, you want to be a man that people can rely on, you want to be a man that your children are proud of, you want to be a man that your family can depend on. And I'm gonna tell you what, this really speaks to how dead your community is. It speaks to how broken your community is. It speaks to the magnitude of the dysfunction that white man planted in your brain. They got you hating your own women. They got you embarrassed to be responsible. They got you not wanting to be intelligent. They got you not wanting to be dependable. And you're looking up to a lot of men. Like I know a lot of celebrities. I know a lot of these guys. And you're looking up to guys who are not the kinds of fathers that you'd want to have in your house. They're not the kinds of men that would really come through for you. They're not the kinds of men who are going to love your mama. They're not the men who are going to be able to really love you long term. Not all of them, but some of them are degenerate drug addicts. And so what I like about this clip, there was something very beautiful about the idea of a man just simply saying to the world, like, hey, I love my wife, right? And I think that's awesome, and it's crazy because when I started doing that, when I would talk about my wife, y'all know I talk about my wife and I didn't care, like half the dudes that were talking smack about my love for my wife, these are miserable guys. These are guys who can't keep a woman. So I feel my heart goes out to them. I didn't care. I said, I love my wife. I'm honored to be with my wife. I'm honored to be with a Black woman. And I'm going to tell the whole world about that. And I'm not going to stop. That's not something, because that's what men do. Men pick good women, and then you are okay with letting the world know that your woman is a good woman. You'd want her to, would you not, give me a yes or no, fellas, would you not want your woman to tell people how great you are? Would you not want your woman to appreciate you? Give me a yes or no. Would you not want your woman to say, my man is a good man, I'm happy to have this man? Right. And if your answer is yes, then think about it. Don't you think women will want the same thing from us? Don't you think that women will want to hear us talk about how happy and honored we are to be next to them? And I tell you what, you got men out here trying to go marry a Kardashian. And what's crazy is they'll date Shaquita and Shaquanda when they're in the hood, when they broke, struggling, and ain't got a nickel in your pocket. But then you get famous or you go make some money. Next thing you know, you're sitting up next to Becky or Cindy Sue or whatever. And that doesn't make any sense to me. Now, anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Also, we are on Spotify and Apple. We just crossed 1 million downloads last month on Spotify. So we're very, very happy and proud about that. Also, we have about 500 million views on different YouTube channels. A couple of our channels have over 500,000 subscribers. They're pretty much shadow banned, so they don't send out notifications. So it's harder to get live viewers in here, because they pretty much shadow ban a lot of Black channels, but it's all good. We have different ways to reach you guys. And so we're able to do that. So we're able to create Black-owned media. We're very proud of that. All right. So I was talking about this clip about this brother talking about how much he loves his wife. And here's the thing. What I wanted to talk about also is that there are lots of men out here like that. Give me a yes in the chat if you know a Black man who loves his girlfriend or loves his wife. Give me a yes or no. Even if you got a baby mama, it's okay. I'm not judging. How many of y'all know, and if you are one in that category, say yes. How many of y'all know a Black man who loves the hell out of his wife, girlfriend, baby mama, or whatever, or loves the hell out of some Black woman and gives her gratitude? Give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no if you know men who are similar to the men in that clip. Yes or no. Right. So I want to see the yeses come across, because here's the thing. Men like this guy exist. Women smile and get excited because they say, oh my God, where can I find a man like this? He's a dime a dozen. He's so rare. And what I want ladies to understand is that men like this exist. The problem is that, unfortunately, one of the weaknesses that a woman can develop in many cases, and men too, is you can be distracted by bright, shiny objects. For example, diamonds. There's not a lot of value in diamonds. Actually, diamonds are not nearly as rare as the De Beers makes you think that they are. De Beers creates artificial scarcity of diamonds, so they'll make you think that they're valuable. Did y'all know that? How many of y'all knew that? They do that to keep the price of diamonds high. Also, this idea that your man's supposed to spend 2 months' salary buying you the biggest rock he can possibly get. That's a bunch of bullshit. That's something that they made up in an ad campaign. And they said, if we tell people what to do, they'll do it. This was for the fish and the sheep. This is for the idiots. This is for the people that just follow the crowd. Seriously, that's what they said. They said, if we just tell people that a diamond is forever and that a diamond is a symbol of love and that a diamond, that you have to spend 2 months' salary on a diamond, people will do that because a lot of people don't know who they are. A lot of people don't know what to do next. They just look at the crowd. They follow the crowd and do what the crowd says to do next. That's why I don't really want a lot of people listening to my channel, because I don't really do well with people that follow the crowd. We're not here to follow the crowd. I'm here actually talking to you about not following the crowd. That takes a lot of courage. You have to really have a lot of confidence to do that. So here's the deal. Sometimes women, y'all can be distracted by bright, shiny objects. And some of the brightest, shiny, loudest objects on the earth are these rappers. I talked to Dr. Claude Anderson today about rappers. And we know some good rappers. We know some bad rappers. We both talked about how Ice Cube is such a solid dude, that we both worked with Ice Cube and we both appreciated the fact that he followed through on his commitment. He did what he said he was going to do. It was fine. However, there were other rappers he spoke with, and I'm not going to say their names because I don't want to get into all that. But these guys were just talkers. These were bright, shiny Negroes that felt like they were important because they were on TV, and they all said, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and it's going to be big and powernomics, and we're going to take it to the next level and blah, 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 blah. And they didn't do anything. They didn't do. I'm going to buy a professional sports team, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to build black-owned schools, and they didn't do nothing, right? So, and here's the thing. I want y'all to understand this. I hope you can follow what I'm saying here. This is not happening in a vacuum. This is happening in your culture. This is the culture. When they talk about the culture, they're talking about loud, bright, shiny, flashy dudes who don't really accomplish anything except make another album or play another game of basketball. But when it comes to picking their kids up on time, they don't do it. When it comes to showing up for a woman, they don't know how to do that. When it comes to just being solid, reliable, a lot of them don't want to do that. When it comes to wanting to pick up a book and read a damn book, they don't want to do that. They don't want to be leaders or adequate heads of household. They want to be the man. They want to be flashy. They want to smoke weed. There was a guy, I kid you not, this is to tell you how much this is in the culture. And I know people get mad at me when I talk about this, but I got to bring it up. I watched this BET show. BET is this white-owned company that tells you what your culture is going to be. Has anybody ever seen this show on BET called Blew the Bag? Well, if you haven't seen it, you should see it. It's not on BET anymore, but it was on for a while. It was called Blew the Bag. And what they would do is they would typically find bright, shiny Negroes who had a lot of money and blew the money. They would go find athletes, or they would find entertainers who had lots and lots of money, and the money was just gone. Well, there was one guy, I kid you not, this was real. This happened on this is your culture. This is what they tell you that your culture is actually. And this guy, I kid you not, this guy had like 6 babies mamas, and he won the lottery. So God blessed him. God gave him an opportunity to have money and to create generational wealth. But he didn't do that. You know what he did? He said, when I got that money from the lottery, I rented out the entire floor of a hotel in Vegas, and I had strippers and liquor and weed and cars and girls and whatever I wanted. And all the money was gone in 2 weeks. All the money was gone in 2 weeks. So this guy blew through $250,000 in about 2 weeks. Now, think about this. I sat there and I thought, this is sad. This is truly sad. This man had a chance to set his children up for life. This man had 6 kids. He could have hooked up, took care of, put money in the college funds, invested in it for a business for them, bought them shares of stock. But instead, what did he do? He did what the rappers do. He did what the bright, shiny Negroes do. That's what he did. That's what he did. He followed what he thought was the culture, right? If the culture had been, investing and putting money into tax deferred investing accounts, he would have done that. But he followed the crowd. He followed the culture. So here's what I'm getting at. So this guy that I showed you in the video, this guy who loves his wife, this guy who's doing his best, trying to be a good man, this guy who takes pride in loving his wife and pleasing his wife, this man is part of another culture that is what I call the counterculture. This is the counterculture to what they tell you is the culture. This is a guy who's not going to go and do something irresponsible and ridiculous and destroy his family. He's going to be there for his family. He's going to show up for his family in every way. And this is and what's fascinating is half of y'all will look up to some idiot rapper who don't even love his own mama and can't spell his kids' names before you look up to a solid man in your community. And this doesn't just go for the guys. The guys get misled by the bright, shiny objects, but the women too. A lot of women, when y'all look at this guy and y'all hear this clip of this guy, and I'm going to play it again, of who adores his wife, who loves his spouse, who wants to be a good husband, a lot of y'all sit back and you say, why can't I find a man like that? Why won't men do like that? Why won't more men act like that? Well, if you're a halfway decent looking woman, I'm talking about 5 or above, whatever that means to you, chances are you have met a guy like that. Chances are you have met a nice guy who loved you and who adored you. The problem is that, unfortunately, you live in a bad society with bad culture that has told you that guys like that are boring. You met a Boyce Watkins at some point in your life. Not that I'm the sexiest man in the world, but I'm very solid for my family. I adore the hell out of my wife. And I know some of y'all women loved it because hundreds of thousands of you, over 1 million of you, watched me get on my knee and propose to my wife and thought that was the most wonderful thing in the world. Well, you probably met a Boyce Watkins, and I know women who met a Boyce Watkins who walk right past me. I know women, when I met my wife was getting hit on by athletes, ballers, rappers, dope dealers, all these bright, shiny Negroes. And do you know what made her pick me over all those other guys? You know what made her pick me? Her father was a college professor. Her father was a smart man. So she picked a man based on her father. Now, I want to ask y'all this question. This is a deep question. This is a hard question for a lot of y'all to ask. If you were to pick a man based on your father, what type of man would that make you pick? There's a book a lady wrote. I don't know the exact title, but I believe it was something to the effect of "My father was my first boyfriend." And let me tell you something. My wife, my lovely wife, who I love to, dearly, is a relationship therapist. And one thing that she said that I'll never forget is that when you pick a partner in your life, chances are you're picking somebody because of how they relate to a deficiency you received from your father. You're picking men based on your dad. You're either picking men who are similar to your daddy, or you're picking men that are different from your daddy. And I need y'all to understand this. Give me a yes if you follow what I'm saying. I probably sound a little preachy here, but I really am. I need to be preachy for a minute because I'm 52 and most of y'all are not. So I'm gonna be a little bit preachy for a minute, and I hope you will hear me. Most Black girls don't have a daddy in the house. Do you ever think that maybe that plays a part in the fact that some of y'all would choose the bright, shiny Negroes over the solid dudes? I knew a guy who was in college, and he said, I had a really hard time with my baby mama. I said, what happened? And he said, well, she didn't want me. She thought I was boring because I wanted to go to school. So she started dating a dude who literally killed people for a living. He was a thug. She wanted to be with the thug because the thug was exciting. And I said, well, tell me about her daddy. He said her daddy wasn't really around. I said, well, that's why she thinks that a thug is going to be a good father to her children. And a couple years later, the guy got murdered. So next thing you know, she's traumatizing her child by giving her child a father who got killed in the street. Why? Well, because she didn't know how to pick a man. And it's not your fault. It's really not. It's just it's a skill you have to acquire. It's a skill you're going to have to learn. It's a matter of understanding the difference between what you want and what you need and finding a balance between the two. Because a lot of young women like the exciting guys. A lot of young women like the street guys. They like that. They think that's exciting, but they don't see what they don't know what it's like to be shot in the head because you're in the front seat of a car with a dope dealer who's got killers looking for him every minute of the day. They've never gone through the experience of having their child crying every day because daddy got 86 years in prison and they won't get to see him for the rest of their life. They haven't gone through what it's like to get 50 years in prison yourself because your man is hiding cocaine in the ceiling of the house because somehow Rick Ross taught you and him that's what it means to be a boss. Boss. You ain't no boss if you're sitting in that man's prison. He's the boss. You an underling, son. You're a child at that point. You a baby, man. They could treat you like a cockroach. You ain't got no power. You ain't no boss. I hate saying it. Prisons are horribly inhumane. So a lot of little girls, and I'm speaking truth from what I have seen. I'm not speaking it as absolute truth. I'm not speaking it as a disparaging truth. I'm not speaking it as a truth that's meant to ridicule anybody. But some of y'all women got to learn how to pick a damn man. Some of y'all got to stop with the nonsense. Stop chasing the bright, shiny, unreliable, weak-ass Negroes just because he got a nice penis or he looks good or he dances nice or he said the right thing to you on the phone. You need to get the therapy and the healing required so you don't go around making mistakes that are going to harm other people. You can't do the Sierra Russell Wilson routine because Sierra almost traumatized her child for the rest of his life. She got lucky because she's Sierra. She's famous. She's beautiful. So she could make a comeback. She was 20 points down in the game. The minute she laid down with Future, she was 20 points down in the game. And somehow she made a comeback because she's Sierra. You may not be Sierra. In fact, let me help you out. Let me share some information here with you. And I share this with humility and hope that it will help somebody. I am not sharing this because I'm trying to be judgmental or pretend to be perfect, but I'm here to be honest. That's what I need. I want to be honest. And actually, before I even do that, I'm going to play this clip again so we can see what a good man looks like. When we can see what a man looks like, well, every man should be doing this. It just ain't nothing magical about this shit. Ain't nothing magical about a man saying, I really want to make my wife happy. I love my wife. I adore my wife. Ain't nothing rare about that. There's millions of men like that. There's millions of men who would adore you, but for whatever reason, many of us are trained to not want the people who want us. Instead, we want the people who don't want us, and that don't even make no damn sense. Why would you give your best to somebody who's giving you their worst? And why would you give your worst to somebody who's willing to give you their best? That's like me taking $100 bill and saying, I want to go trade my $100 bill in for a nickel. Seriously, that's what you want. You're expecting to trade your $100. You trade your $100 bill for a nickel and then think you could trade a nickel for a $100 bill. That's what you're doing. It's completely illogical, but I'm gonna tell you exactly where it comes from because I'm not a full-fledged psychologist on any level. I did get my doctorate in financial psychology, so I've spent a lot of time thinking about how the mind affects your money situation. But then also, my wife happens to be a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work and a counselor for relationships for lots of couples. So this is not coming out of nowhere. This is also coming from the game of life. Okay, so hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. And also let me pull this video up so you can watch this video one more time so we can put it into context as we go and look at, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why a woman who doesn't have a father in the home is likely to make relationship mistakes. This is based on science. But before I do that, I want to show you what a good man looks like because I really like this video. Let me play it for you real quick. Let me know if you can hear me.
I just freaking adore my wife.
Yeah.
I genuinely adore my wife. And I want to be the best husband, the best father. I want to take care of her. I want to serve her. I want my wife to brag on the type of man that I am for her. And I take pride in that.
Yeah.
I take pride in being the best husband that I can be for my wife. And sometimes, even when I do things that I don't feel like doing that I do for you, I do it anyway because I want to be the best husband possible for my wife.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
And I know that me overcoming myself and doing things that I don't want to do still takes me to that next level.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I show up for her.
Yeah.
When she needs certain things, when she asks me for certain things or asks me to do certain things, I show up. I take pride in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's clap for this brother. I like this video because I also like the fact that he's confident enough to share this with people. I think that should be something we all consider because remember, think about this, right? Who's more valuable? If you're a man who truly cares about your own existence, who's more valuable to you than the person who gives birth to your kids? Maybe the person who gave birth to you, maybe. But who else? Seriously, I want y'all to really think about this. Who should be treated more valuable? I mean, because a lot of guys will disrespect their woman, but go die for their homeboys. Your homies didn't give birth to your kids. Your homies are going to take you away from your kids. Your homies are going to traumatize your kids. They're the ones that are going to get you sent away for 50 years and because you won't snitch. And now your 4-year-old daughter will never have a dad because you up here being loyal to your homies, but ain't being loyal to your family. That don't even make no sense. So let me give you, and this is more so for the ladies. I'm gonna explain to you 5 ways that not having a father can affect your relationship choices. Please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. And my book, by the way, is called Financial Lovemaking. It's on Amazon and Audible. Feel free to just look up my name. And also, if you look up my name on Spotify, you can find my podcast there. Number 1, women who don't have fathers, they tend to seek approval and validation in relationships. It says women who grew up without a father might constantly seek approval and validation from their partners. This need can stem from the lack of paternal affirmation during their formative years. As a result, they might tolerate unhealthy behaviors or stay in unsatisfying relationships just to feel accepted and loved. Give me a yes or no. How many of y'all know women who do all kinds of desperate, dastardly things because they spend their whole life seeking the love that their father never gave them? How many of y'all know? How many of y'all seen that? Has anybody noticed just the intense proliferation of women showing body parts on Instagram just to get likes? Just to get likes. What is a like? A like doesn't mean shit, but somehow the dopamine from getting lots of likes validates you. It gives you self-esteem. Those fake compliments, things like that. And here's the other thing too, and I think women and men, everybody can learn from this, is that a terrible person, the jerks in your life, they'll use that addiction to validation. They'll use that as a weapon to control you, right? So one minute it's like you do what he tells you to do. Oh, baby, you're beautiful. I love you. Blah blah blah. Then you don't do what he tells you to do. Oh, you're an ugly bitch. I ain't like your fat ass anyway, right? So if you don't have that self-esteem intact and you're seeking that validation, you're in trouble. And the worst part is you don't seek when you're seeking validation from a man who barely loves you anyway, who feels like he's big pimping. He feels like he got 50 women right behind you. That man is going to use that validation to control you. So just be really careful about that. Number 2, fear of abandonment. The fear of being abandoned, which can originate from the early loss or absence of a father, might cause a woman to make poor choices in relationships. This fear can lead to clinging to partners, ignoring red flags, or staying in toxic relationships because the idea of being alone seems more daunting than being in an unhealthy relationship. And this honestly goes back to one of the issues that I had with Kevin Samuels. I didn't dislike everything that he said, but one of the things that I hated this idea that Kevin Samuels is a very smart man. And he remember for years, Kevin Samuels did videos and nobody watched. Nobody paid attention to Kevin Samuels on the internet until he said one thing. There was one thing he said that blew him up. It was when he told some lady that she was going to die alone. He said, "Fuck it, you're going to die alone." And so that trigger, that fear of dying alone, can cause you to make really desperate, terrible choices when it comes to men. And any man who uses that to control women, I think that that's unethical. I don't think that's going to help anybody. And that's where Kevin Samuels, unfortunately, made a mistake. And what was really unfortunate is he forgot to remember that men can die alone too. Men who don't pour into other people and invest in other people can also die alone. Kevin died alone. Kevin died next to some young girl who didn't even know him, who didn't even like him. And she was probably thinking, get this old man up out of here, because I do not want to be caught up in his little heart situation. Right. So, and I can tell you what, when I had a situation in the hospital, I was really happy I had a wife. I was like, I'm so happy that when I was under anesthesia and could not fend for myself, I had a wife looking out for me. So don't think that women are the only ones that can die alone. Men can too. Number 3, poor role models for relationships. This is a big one. Without a father or father figure to model what a healthy, respectful relationship looks like, a woman might struggle to understand what she should expect and demand in her own relationships. This lack of a positive role model can lead to accepting disrespectful or abusive behavior as normal. And that's really true. A lot of times, if you don't know what a man normally does, you'll either over romanticize men, like you'll think that we're perfect, like we're out of a Disney movie. Men are not out of a Disney movie. Men are human beings. But then you either over romanticize men or you will accept just anything, any kind of unbelievable behavior, because you'll just think this is the price of love. And that's not the case. I think that requires you to learn. You have to relearn. You got to talk to people, talk to some older married women, read some books, go to some therapy to work through your deficiency so people can't exploit your deficiency. Number 4, low self-esteem. The absence of a father can contribute to low self-esteem in women. This might lead them to believe that they don't deserve a healthy, loving relationship, causing them to settle for less than they deserve or enter into relationships with partners that do not treat them well. How many of y'all have seen that? Give me a yes or no if you've seen that. Where maybe some women reject good men because you don't feel like you're worthy of a good man. Maybe somehow because your self-esteem is so low, when a man comes along, I kid you not, I saw this in real life. I saw this with a woman 20 years ago. I noticed that the only men she was interested in were men who were not interested in her. The minute a man expressed to her that he thought she was special or beautiful, you know what she would do? She would say, "Well, what's wrong with him? He's an idiot. He's too far up my butt." Right. And what she was really saying, in my opinion, I picked this up when I was in my early 30s. I said, so it sounds to me like you think that any man who sees beauty in you, there must be something wrong with him because you don't see beauty in you. He sees value in you, and you think that he must be crazy because you don't see value in you. So you think that he's delusional. Like, why would somebody? It's like if I have something in my house and it's a $2 rug, and you come in and say, "Oh my God, that's a beautiful rug. I'll pay $500 for that." I'm gonna be like, "What are you talking about? This old raggedy thing? You out of your mind?" So we have a different assessment of the value of that item. So sometimes that item is you. When you are more attracted to people who hate you and less attracted to people who love you, that, my friends, is a mental illness that is going to send you down a dirty rabbit hole of misery and pain that you cannot even imagine. Think about this. You are literally giving your absolute best to the people who care about you the least. You're giving your best to the people who are least likely to reciprocate. You're giving your best love to the men who are not interested in loving you back. Why in the world would you ever do that? Oh, I get it, because you never had your father, your self-esteem is low, and you're seeking validation, and maybe you're attracted to the bright, shiny objects and all this. Like I never understood why women would be attracted, like the whole rap culture. I get it. Women like confidence and they like wealth and stuff like that. But the rappers are interesting because the rappers will flat out tell you, "I don't like you." Lil Wayne had a whole song. In one of the songs, he literally said that, "I'll take a girl, I'll chop her body up and put it in the trunk and mail it back to her boyfriend." And women are screaming over this man. I'm sitting there thinking, what's really happening here? I would never want to be with somebody who actually would make a song about how he would chop up my dead body and send it back to my ex-girlfriend. That don't even make no sense. So y'all gotta really use some logic here, Black people. Some of these behavior patterns are horrifically dysfunctional. They are so bad and so crazy, and you got to fight against it. I'll fight against it all day. I've had people make countless videos expressing their disappointment and frustration with me, but I don't care. I'm not talking to those people. I don't talk to idiots. I talk to intelligent Black people. Intelligent Black people are people that want to figure this thing out. Intelligent Black people are people that want to be smarter. Intelligent Black people are people who value intelligence. If you're not in that category, then just go. Like, I mean, you're wasting your time trolling me because I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to block you anyway. Because this is stupid. This is absolutely insane. And we need therapy. That's what we need. So let me read the one more effect of women growing up without fathers. Tell me if you've seen this before. Repeating patterns. Women who have not resolved issues related to their father's absence might unconsciously seek partners who mirror the dynamics of that missing relationship. This can manifest in choosing partners who are emotionally unavailable, neglectful, or inconsistent as they subconsciously try to fix the past through their current relationship. So you are so upset that daddy wouldn't come back and daddy wouldn't talk to you that you are finishing the story with your boyfriend or boyfriends. The trail of boyfriends that come along who act just like your daddy. You're really trying to fix this unresolved issue from childhood. And as a result, your children are sitting there like, "Mama, what we doing?" Your kids are like, "Okay, Mama, can't we move past childhood?" Let me just tell y'all the truth. Here's the deal. A lot of y'all are fucking up your kids because you never fixed your issues from childhood. There is rarely a child more screwed up than the child who's a product of two parents who never resolved their childhood issues. So the question to ask yourself, if you have kids, how many of y'all got children? How many parents we got in the room? If you're a parent, I have to ask you this question. I'm begging you on behalf of your children. Did you fix your shit? Did you fix your shit? If you did not fix your shit, then your children are going to be born in the middle of shit. I gave advice. I counseled a 30-year-old man this week who is about to give birth to a child. And I just said to him, I said, look at what your parents did to you. Look at what you saw growing up. You got a child coming into the world with no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind. They are a clean slate. That baby's going to look at you like you are the king of the earth, like you are the most perfect, pure, amazing human being to ever have been formed in the history of God's creation. Don't fuck that up by not fixing your shit. Don't mess that up by coming in all dysfunctional and screwed up, drinking and smoking and using dope in front of the baby and fighting with your baby mama or your wife and getting into all kinds of stupid situations and bringing ignorance into her space. Don't traumatize that baby because you never fixed your shit. So that's the answer, honestly, is that if you love your children, you'll fix your shit. If you don't love your children, then you'll keep living in your shit. And you'll keep making shitty decisions and bringing shitty men around your children or horrible women around and making one baby after another. And then you'll just blame the whole world because you've never been taught to take accountability. And that's the pattern. That's the trend. That's very popular. It's very popular to be a victim. It's very popular to blame everybody but yourself. It's very popular to not take responsibility. They don't want you taking responsibility or accountability because, by God, oh my God, that would actually make you a grown-ass man. That would actually make you a grown woman. That would actually allow you to create a drama-free, healthy, functional family. They don't want that in the Black community. No, we don't. No, sir, because communities that do that, they can actually build wealth. Communities do that, they can build political power. Communities that can do that, they don't become easy targets for excessive consumerism and where we can sell our medications and our COVID shots and everything else. We can't do that. We can't sell our Popeyes Fried Chicken to a community that's conscious about their physical and mental health. So we don't want that. We want to keep them scrambling. We want to keep them stumbling. We want to keep them broke, busted, and disgusted. We want to keep them a day late and $1 short. We want to make sure Black people stay as broken as possible, so much so that we will put billions of dollars into a hip hop music industry that will celebrate the dysfunction to the point where they think that the dysfunction is their culture. They made a big bowl of rat poison and made you think that it was soup. That's what they did to you. That's what they did. So now that I've given you a perspective, the question is, what are you going to do about it? And here's a little side note, and I'll share this last side note before I go. And do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. You're watching drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. We are also on Spotify and Apple, and we just crossed 1 million downloads last month. So that means somebody's listening. So I appreciate that. And also in the Black Business School, we've helped over 10 million people buy their first share of stock. If you'd like to get stock picks from me, my PhD is in finance. I would love to help you because I believe in Black wealth. Just text the word stock to 31996. Text stock to 31996. I will send you our $5 a day investing plan that anybody can do to build wealth for their family in less than a generation. I can also send you a list of AI stocks that I like, and I will also send you a training I have on how to make money without working. That is my superpower. That is what I know. I've been teaching college students finance since 1993, so I know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay, so if you don't believe me, then I can't change that. But if you do believe me, then feel free to text the word stock to 31996. All that stuff is free. All right. So here's the last little point. This is my little tip. This is Uncle Boyce. Give me a guess if it's okay if I go Uncle Boyce for a minute. I know this is not based on my PhD. This is based on me living life. I would say this to women. For all the women that listen to that clip of that guy admiring his wife and talking about how he adores his wife and how much he works to please his wife, it all makes very good sense to me. And I think the reason that it makes sense to me, and it's very simple to understand for me, is because I understand things like supply and demand. I understand how markets work. Typically, we tend to be on our best behavior when we're getting something that we really value, right? Like, think about it like a job. Okay, instead of thinking about it like dating, think of it like a job. A lot of you are out here dating. You're trying to pick the right man, pick the right woman, and a lot of people pick based on the wrong criteria. The criteria a lot of people use is they pick the person that they like the most to date. That's the one they pursue. But instead of just picking the person that you like the most, you also have to think about the reciprocity of it. You got to think about whether or not they fucking like you. Some of y'all will pick the person you like the most without thinking about whether or not they like you. So if you like them and they don't like you, you know what's going to happen? You're going to pour your best into that person. They're going to shit on you. They don't like you. That man does not like you. He got 18 women like you. He don't care. He's famous or something. He's paid. He's tall and handsome. He's got a bunch of other. He's not thinking about you the way you're thinking about him. So, when I picked my wife, I didn't just say, who do I like the most? I did a double check and I said, well, let me make sure she likes me because I don't want to get crapped on in this relationship. I don't want to be a whipping boy. I don't want to be so infatuated with this woman that I let her crap all over me. So I made sure that she liked me the same way I liked her. And people don't really do that. So what I saw with this man, here's what I saw with this man, is I didn't see a good man, right? People are like, oh, he's such a good man. He's such a good man. That's to me, that's nonsense. I don't believe there's such a thing as a good man or a bad man. There's the man on his best behavior and the man who's not on his best behavior. There's the man who values what's in front of him versus the same man who may be in front of something he does not value. I have seen men, seriously, I've seen this. I've seen a man crap on one girl that he doesn't like much, but then treat another girl like gold. So the girl he's treating like gold is sitting there saying, oh my God, he's such a good man. And the other girl, the one he crapped on, is like, no, he's not, girl. He ain't no good man. Let me tell you what he did to me. And all of that can end up being true. So get that out of your head, this notion of good men and bad men. I don't believe that. No, I think generally speaking, the question is whether or not he's interested in trying to be a good man for you. It's like sexuality. Like one man might say, oh, that woman, she's a hot tamale. She loves sex. She loves to do it every day. But then the other guy might be like, no, she's not. She's a prude. I tried to sleep with her 10 times and she kept telling me no. She don't give it up to nobody. Well, the guy would say, well, no, she just didn't give it up to you, but she gave it up to me. Do y'all understand? Are y'all following what I'm saying? Do you get the logic here? I know these are weird examples, but I want you to get it, that the conditions change a person's behavior. So you think of it like a job. If you have a job that you value, that you're happy to have, then you're going to show up on time and do the best work and show up in the best way you can. But if it's a job you don't really want that much, you're going to complain. You're not going to show up on time. You're not going to prioritize it. You're not going to do your best. So generally speaking, I would argue if I was a woman looking for a husband, I would look at the field and consider the men that I like for sure. Make sure they all meet a certain threshold. Once they all meet a certain threshold, I would try to figure out which one likes me the most. Which one understands that I am the prize? Which one feels like I am an opportunity for him and not just a jump off, not just another chick? Which one is looking at me and saying, my God, if I get a chance to be with that woman, then I'm going to really, really do my best to make that woman happy. That's what you do. That's who you pick, in my opinion. And I think a lot of y'all don't do that because a lot of y'all, first of all, you ignore guys that are in the friend zone, even though that little guy in the friend zone, that little stable guy with the regular job who actually is so stable that he might seem boring to you, that guy might be your guy. That might be the guy who's really going to be the father to your kids because he's honored to be the father to your kids. That might be the guy who's going to bring you the flowers once a week, who's never going to take you for granted, who's always going to do his best for you. But the guy that you're crying over every other week, I don't even know why you go back to that unless you have something inside of you that's broken. It's only a mental illness that will cause you to keep walking back into painful situations over and over again. It's a mental illness because I get it. You're a drug addict. You're addicted to the drug. Maybe you're addicted to his penis. Maybe you're addicted to something else. But just like a drug addict, like there are some drug addicts who can smoke crack and tell you exactly how the crack is going to kill them, but they keep going back because the crack feels so good. And you say, well, why would you keep going into the crack house if you know you're going to die? Well, it's because they're willing to endure the discomfort of being unhealthy to get the high that they're seeking. That's what it is. A lot of us are seeking the high because the high numbs the pain. What does that say? Well, you could keep self-medicating with whatever that drug is, whether that drug is, some medication, some wine or liquor, or if it's a man, sometimes the man is that drug that heals the pain. You could keep going back to the drug, or you could go get some therapy that will allow you to dig to the root of the problem and find a healthy coping mechanism. Because one thing that I think we don't we underestimate is we don't understand the amount of extreme psychological damage that is done to Black women who grow up without their dad. We act like Black women are perfect. Black women are not perfect, just like Black men are not perfect. We're just not. You've been through a lot. Not having your father was a very big deal, no matter how much your super strong single mom told you that it wasn't. No, it's a very big deal. Imagine if 76% of all Black children grew up without a mother. That would be a crisis of epic proportions. So I don't understand why we can easily understand how growing up without a mother explains a lot of dysfunction. But somehow growing up without a father is not a big deal. It's a very big deal. It is a massive deficiency. It is something that has to be corrected and fixed. And if you don't fix it, then what you're going to do is you're just going to run into one tragic situation after another, and you're never, ever going to figure out why. You're sick. And you think you're healthy because nobody ever told you that you're sick. Well, I'm the guy who's going to tell you that you're probably sick. And you're hearing this from a guy who didn't have his biological father. I did not have my biological father. It definitely affected me. I had a great stepfather, but it wasn't the same as having my actual father. It affects me. And I have gone to a therapist. And I love my therapist. Who's your therapist? If you can't tell me who your therapist is, then I think that might explain why you're having some of the problems that you're having right now. So I can't guarantee you that all this is going to work. I don't know all the answers. I'm not Kevin Samuels. I'm not going to sound eloquent and classy like he did. He sounded good for the internet. People like things that sound good. It doesn't always sound good when it comes out of me. But I thought about it very deeply, and I'm sharing it because I care, and I just want to see you happy. And I can tell you that the secret with me and my wife is that I adore the shit out of my wife. There's not a day I don't wake up and feel honored to be next to that woman. There's not a day I don't wake. I love those damn kids. I don't give a shit what these little boys say about just being a stepdaddy. Ain't nothing wrong being a stepdaddy. That makes you an asset to the Black community. You're taking care of children whose fathers may not be readily available. That is an honor to me. And if you think that there's something wrong with it, then something's wrong with you. You're just mad because you didn't have a daddy growing up, and you just want to pour your poison onto the community. Ain't nobody got time for you. Take your little boy ass on somewhere. But at the end of the day, the reason that so that's what part of what makes our marriage work. When somebody really adores you, they'll put up with your shit. When somebody really is honored to be with you, they'll fight harder to make you happy. If somebody's really ecstatic about being with you, they're going to go the extra mile. But the guy who you barely had to fight, the one you had to fight 3 other women to get his attention, that man ain't going to value you the same way. He's not. He's not. And the other variable to consider, in case you haven't thought about it, is also you got to look at a person's background. A man who did not grow up seeing another man love a woman for a long period of time is probably not even built for a long-term relationship. That's another thing too. If you don't have that experience, that firsthand experience to see what it's really, you can think of it like climbing Mount Everest. There's a lot of people that can talk all day about climbing a mountain, but very few people can tell you what it's actually like. And so really, I think that that's another issue in the community. Everybody claims to want the same fantasy. Everybody claims they're seeking the same fairy tale. I'm looking for that one person I can spend the rest of my life with. No, you're not. Where have you ever seen that? Who do you know that spent the rest of their life with another person? Did your parents do it? If they didn't, it's not your fault. It just means you might need to get some training. You might need to really learn what that really looks like. And I think if you want to get that mentorship, it's out there. But you got to listen to somebody other than some of these internet gurus. The internet gurus sound good because they're going to tell you what you want to hear. The internet gurus are appealing because we all like crazy people that get loud and act dysfunctional and say things that are extreme. But the people that can give you the best advice are people that have done what you're trying to do. So if your goal is to stay married 20, 30 years or find a husband, go talk to a woman who has a husband who's kept him for 10, 15 years. She can give you the real deal, and ask her to give you the truth. Then you'll learn what you need to learn. A single woman who been out here in these streets, she probably knows how to keep a man for about 6 months. Anybody can do that, though. That's not hard. So that's what I believe, and I'm sticking to it. So If this helped somebody, then I hope it did. If it did not, then I apologize for sharing my perspective. But I shared it because I do care. And I saw this video with this guy. And I love the fact that this brother was talking about how much he loves his wife. I think that needs to be the norm. We need to love our women. There's nobody more valuable in our community than our women because they gave us life. So thank you to every Black woman who gave us life. We appreciate you so much. So God bless you guys. Hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My website is boycewatkins.com. Also, this podcast is on Spotify and Apple, so feel free to look me up there. I'm also going to do another episode of my other Spotify podcast called How to Make Money Without Working, so you can look that up on Spotify if you want to go check that out. And we got a lot of stuff going on in the Black Business School, so if you'd like to check out some of the stuff we have going on and get a free list of AI stocks, just text the word stock to 31996. Text stock to 31996. So thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you so much, and I will check back in with you a little bit later. Good night. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV.